The other day, my client came to me and she said, I'm not clicking with any of my friends anymore. And she didn't know what to do about it, which I was able to help her with. But she basically saw two paths in front of her, which was get completely new friends and leave all of these people who she has so many memories with and loves very much behind, or stay with the same people and do the same things that maybe weren't feeling as good as they used to. She wasn't having fun. She wasn't growing. She wasn't feeling like it was a happy or healthy or productive use of her time anymore. But she really just saw only these two paths ahead of her. And it is a heartbreak when you realize that you are outgrowing your closest friends and relationships. But there's actually a way that you don't have to lose all of those people who are most important to you, and a way to continue to grow and also make new connections, both with yourself and with people that are more aligned, all without having your entire life or social life fall apart. But there was two major questions she needed to answer that I was able to help guide her through to make her realize that the whole situation wasn't lost. Things could be salvaged and she could be who she's meant to be and who she's growing into being, be herself around these people and still have a fulfilling time. So two questions that I had her answer in order to do that. So when she came to me, she basically said, she's been my client for a really long time. I know what her social life is like in a lot of ways, and I know all about the characters in her life, right? Like, I know their names, I know what they do for work, I know what their relationships have been like, I know the friendship hiccups they've had, I know how she loves them and how she feels about them. So she was describing specific friendships to me and saying, like, it just doesn't feel the same with these people anymore. Like, we do the same things. They have like one night a week where they always go out together and they drink and they play games, and it's usually the same group more or less, and it's really fun. Like, she's been doing that every week on the same day, I think, for the whole time I've known her, which is a couple of years now that we've been working together, with me as her body image and self-confidence coach, her mindset coach. And suddenly Thursday nights aren't as fun. And she comes to me and she's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if it's like a problem with this person. I don't know if it's a problem with me. Maybe we're not meant to be friends anymore. I don't like when they do this. They don't like when I do that. I get these kind of half judgy comments sometimes, things like that. And what I'm observing as her coach, listening to her tell me about how she's feeling, is that there's now a gap between her and the people that she used to be so close with. And navigating that gap can be really difficult. And she said to me at one point, like, I feel like I'm not anyone's number one. And that's a really lonely feeling. And she was internalizing a lot of that, taking a lot personally, wondering, again, if she's the problem. And what I explained to her was that no one's doing anything wrong necessarily in these moments, in these feelings. It's just that you're growing faster than your environment. You're returning to an environment every week or every day if this is your coworkers, or once a year if this is family you're visiting. And your environment maybe hasn't changed at all, and at least hasn't changed as much or as quickly as you have. And so that's where this gap comes to be. It's not that you're doing something wrong, it's just that you're growing. And so this is actually a really good sign in a lot of ways. I know it might not feel like a really good sign because, again, there's this fear that you're going to lose people who mean a lot to you. And it's hard to not take that personally and think that you failed at that friendship. But it truly is a good thing. And again, I told you, we don't have to throw those relationships away. You can grow and stay grounded in the relationships that you have now if you answer those two questions that I gave her. So number one, what are your current values, both personally and in friendships? And I highly recommend writing these down. By the way, this is my full-time job to talk to people about things like this. I am a mindset and confidence coach, so there's always a free consultation link in the description of the video. Definitely book one of those if you can relate to this. It is such a valuable half an hour for both of us, and I can give you some more personalized pointers on how to navigate your exact situation. But with all of my clients, we have a Google Doc where I keep notes and they add notes as well. It's a collaborative document. And what we did was we had her write down her core values for friendship at this time. And in that process, you realize what your core values maybe used to be when you made these friends. So when she made these friends, it was very much her core values were like having fun, being in a big group of people, feeling cool, drinking, and having a laugh, maybe having a little bit of drama, like seeing what's going to evolve out of the night, right? Like you get that FOMO if you don't join. And honestly, those are really common values for your younger adulthood years. And fair enough, right? Like go have a good time, go have a drink. However, she's more in an era of her life now where she wants deeper conversation. She doesn't really want to gossip. She doesn't find it fulfilling. She wants to do things that nourish her body and her mind, like mindfulness practices and going on long walks with an oat milk latte on a Sunday morning at 6 a.m. and journaling and reading and getting back to the things she used to love to do as a kid, like that inner child healing. Her wavelength, her mindset has really changed from when she was younger. And that's only 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago. However, the friendships that she made in that time were based on values that were really different. So write down what your values are and write down what they used to be. Don't just think about them, truly. Write it down if you really want to get the most of it. It makes you really realize exactly what they are when you have to put it into actual words, especially like to explain it to someone else, which is why coaching and talking it through is so valuable, especially for someone who's talking to someone like me who's been there and knows the questions you need to ask. The second question that she had to answer is a little bit harder, but it's super important because there's no wrong answer, but it does have to be answered. And it's, do I want to shift this dynamic into an evolved version of this relationship? So, like a new version, basically. Or do I want to end this dynamic? Because you have both options. As you grow faster or differently than the people around you, what you have to figure out is this person open to the new version of me? Because a lot of times when we grow, people become a bit resentful and oftentimes they don't even realize they're doing it, but they'll start to make snippy comments. They'll throw digs at your choices like, oh, you're so boring, you're going to bed early, or like, oh, you're dating such a boring guy. I've also realized that being boring is like my favorite thing ever in my mid 20s. But in order for a dynamic to evolve and not end, it either needs you to radically accept who that person is now and or them to be open to growing and evolving to accept the version that you are of yourself now. And there's a great indication of if you should evolve or end a dynamic if you don't feel safe being yourself around these people. Friendships are supposed to make us feel like the most comfortable, authentic version of ourselves. And so if you feel like you can't be yourself in front of these people, not just because you're nervous to be that person, but because they make you feel like you can't be, that's an indication that maybe this is a dynamic that's meant to end. However, not every friendship has to end just because you've grown and changed and you guys are different. I have friends that are so different from me. I have friends that are 30 years older than me. I have friends from so many different countries all over the world and who speak different first languages from me. I have friends that are like super in the hustle culture 9 to 5 stuff. I have friends that are like freelance photographers. We are so different in so many ways, but the friendship works because we love and we see and we want to be around each other and see each other grow. And that's all you need. However, when you grow and someone becomes resentful, they kind of filter themselves out of your life as well. And so you can have a conversation. I always advocate for conversation, not just cutting people off. You can have a conversation where you try to bring the past version of you and the present version of you together and present them to that person. Like, hey, here's what's been going on in my life. I'm really excited about it. And if they're not open to it, then that tells you a lot as well about if you want to evolve or end. But either way, some people will go in that process and some people will stay. But not everybody has to go just because you've grown. We don't have to leave everybody behind and we don't have to be left behind. We don't have to feel completely lonely. However, you don't want to stay in relationships that keep you as an old version of yourself and maybe a version of yourself that doesn't feel so good anymore. You're not broken. You're just breaking past patterns and changing in the process. A lot of this is about self-trust, not shrinking yourself into who you think you should be or an old version of yourself. And it's also trusting yourself to make judgments about the kind of friends that you want to have in your life and also the kind of friend that you want to be. It is natural through life and especially through growth for relationships to fade. Sometimes they crash and burn as well. I've had a lot of those in my life. But you're going to make so many new friends as well that are going to make you feel so comfortable being yourself. And you're going to be that person for yourself as well. The more and more that you live authentically and you listen to your heart and you let yourself grow and blossom. As a mindset coach, the growing pains of growing up and growing into your most authentic self are something that come up constantly. So if that's something that you want more specialized help with, that is the work that I do in my one-on-one coaching, in my group programs, in the in-person events that I host. So it's always worth checking out that consultation link and just booking a free 30-minute call with me. We can just chat, find some clarity, talk to somebody who's been there and feel heard. And after you've done that, make sure you go to my channel, like this video because it's fantastic. And I want to hear what your thoughts are in the comments as well so that I can keep creating more of this for you. Tell me about the friendship evolutions that you've been through. Maybe the friendship endings that felt like heartbreak at the time, but actually were such a lesson or a blessing. And then make sure that you subscribe and look at the other videos I have because this is what I love to help you with. And I post a new video every single Monday. So I love you. I'll talk to you soon.